Hello, hello, hello. We're doing I don't know, retrospective. I think that's what you might call it. Because this was released recently. It's Peter Gabriel taking the pulse, and yeah, it's a curious time. 15 years ago now, in the tens, the 2010s, Peter Gabriel went orchestral. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. But yeah, again, my opinion, and who cares what I think? My opinion is when rock stars employ the orchestra, you know, when they think, oh, we're going orchestral, it's usually because they've run out of ideas. You know, there's only one guy who can use the orchestra and get away with it. That's Paul McCartney, because you know his Liverpool oratorio that he did in the when was that the late 90s now. Again, he dabbled with classical music, and he can pull it off because he's Paul McCartney. But he's one of the few rock stars who can. So we have a period covering about a couple of years. 2-3 years of Gabriel going orchestral, and it's a curious thing, and it starts with, you see, we're doing a show and tell, and if I'm clever, I would have inserted bits where I'm looking at these pieces up close, because we're pulling out the big guns. Oh yeah, we're actually going to do some editing on this. There may even be some ambient music in the background. I don't know yet, because I've not edited it. I'm just talking to you. Notice how I talk about editorial decisions before I even edit. That's clever. You don't get that with anyone else. And we leave all the rough bits in because we like the rough bits. So yeah, the project starts back in 2009, but this was released in 2010. Well, it's not that, because it's the one where it's that. It's called Scratch My Back. And there's a follow-up which came out a few years later, I think it was 2013, called And I'll Scratch Yours. And that was they pulled it all together. And what this was is Gabriel thought, you know what, I'm going to do a song swap idea. So he was going to cover some songs from people that he liked, and they were going to return the favour. Sounds interesting. When this came out in 2010, I don't know, maybe it passed me. I would have heard it, but I wasn't that impressed. I'm still not impressed. It was co-produced by Bob Ezrin, and I think this is one of the last things that Gabriel worked with an external set of ears. And what we have here is a number of tracks that are, again, it's very much stripped back, and you see the introduction of the orchestra, or the New Blood Orchestra, which will come to fruition. Opens with Heroes by David Bowie, with full orchestral stuff on top of it. It's pretty turgid. It's not a song of hope, not like the original. It's a song of, well, it feels almost like desperation. I mean, such is its melancholia that it was used in, I think, the first series of Stranger Things, the Netflix show, for a death scene or thereabouts in a quarry. That's how I remember it. It didn't do anything. Not like Kate Bush running up that hill, which actually blew up, didn't it? It blew up. It had young people going, "Who's this Kate Bush lady? She sounds good. She's a new person." So yeah, and we go through Boy in the Bubble, Paul Simon, Mirrorball, Flumes, Listening Wind. You know it. I've reviewed it before. Ends with an even more depressing version of Street Spirit, Fade Out by Radiohead. Again, when it comes to flipping it around and getting people to to return the favour. A couple of people didn't take part. Notably, David Bowie, who was in retirement at that point. He was covered by Eno. And Radiohead, who apparently, when they only checked the track out once on the server, because they could monitor this. There was a server where the people and they never ever replied. They never ever responded to Mr. Gabriel. So that's his first dabblings with using the orchestral palette oeuvre. And then a few years later, well, the following year, I'm saying it's like 2019, we have New Blood. New Blood. And this is where he decides to go back, revisit his back catalogue, and, well, you know, orchestrate it. You can tell I ain't impressed. Again, originally released 10th of October 2011. I think I was aware for this one. The 2010 one, wasn't aware because I was busy doing other things. But this I do remember being aware of. Again, it features all the hits, like Salisbury Hill, all the hits in your eyes. You know, the ones. It didn't. Funny enough, didn't do Sledgehammer. Surprised by that. But yeah, there's 14 tracks, including something called A Quiet Moment, which I think is recorded outside Real World Studios. It's just some ambient, you know, the ducks just paddling by. You know? Again, bits of it I think work, and bits of it don't. Again, it's that thing of rock and classical music never quite melding. That's just for me. Again, the whole point of rock is to have the drums and the bass and the guitars, and they strip all that out. And in fact, I think it actually says there are no guitars and drums on this, like it's something to be proud of. I don't think it is. No guitars, no drums, surely not. But it's not all bad. I mean, there are some good bits. I think that it does work. I think Rhythm of the Heat is particularly powerful. I think I think again works okay. What else is there that I think works? San Jacinto again. I think that's okay. Downside Up on this version is abbreviated. You don't get the full experience. Again, that was from the OVO album, which was recorded. That's originally recorded for the Millennium Dome music. Digging in the Dirt would have been a success for me, but they use these. It needs boom boom, you know, boom boom. It needs some timpani. It said you got this guy with his giant clackers out. Now I said giant clackers. Oh no. So while I find it interesting, I don't necessarily feel it, because I like the originals too much. I'm too invested in the originals. Again, the only good side is you do get to hear Gabriel's voice in a more stark surrounding, so you get to hear the the mellifluousness of his larynx, and that's a nice thing. That's a good thing. I like that. So yeah, this was them done in the studio. Again, I think it's better than Scratch My Back. Yeah, because if you're going to cover things, I don't know, make them your own. And he became, like I said, he became obsessed with the whole orchestral side of things, and it doesn't work. And then this one was released more recently. I think this was a Record Store Day release. This is Live Blood, and this was recorded live at the Hammersmith Apollo on the 23rd and 24th of March 2011. So it's around the same time. And yeah, this was a triple album, live album. Yeah, it's a live album. Because why aren't you talking about it, Darren? Why aren't you talking about it? Because a lot of that was covered with this. This is well, they call it New Blood Live in London, and Live Blood. I mean, make your mind up. What is it? And this is the Blu-ray, DVD, CD box set collection, because you get to see the show. So yeah, you got the recording of it. I've also got it here. But you know, I think it's always nicer to see the thing. If the thing has pictures, I like to see the thing with pictures. If it doesn't have any pictures, then I'll listen to the album. So yeah, if you're somebody who likes to, you know, keep turning over sides of vinyl, you know, if you love that, if you like the inconvenience and the expense and the you know of vinyl, then well, of course the triple album is the way to go. But the deluxe set is pretty good because it's got all bases covered. You've got the CD editions, you've got the actual video, and in this one he does actually do some of the covers from Scratch My Back, like Boy in a Bubble, Après Moi, The Power of the Heart. Just going through them. Yeah, I think that's it. So you get to see the complete show, and again, it's good because you get to see Gabriel's voice in action, a bit more stripped back. You know, again, it's not the kind of visual show that you get with these normal, you know, rock live appearances. It's a bit more, you know, staid, a bit more held back. But it's interesting to watch. You get to see him as, you know, perform as a singer. There's more pressure on his voice to perform because he hasn't got all the bleeps and bloops and drums and, you know, guitars to hide behind and, you know, king of the bottom end, Tony Levin on bass. You haven't got all that. You haven't got all that. So it's good to hear him, his voice recontextualised. So I do enjoy watching it, you know, as a show. I enjoyed watching it. It's interesting to see these songs, but it's not something that, you know, I'm rooting for. It's not something that I'm necessarily going to, you know, say, please, can we watch that? Can we? You know, it's a once in a while thing when I'm feeling a little bit, you know, I'll put it on. But this is a good set because you got everything in there, and you know, I think they did a good job with that one. I think, you know, for the money, again, I don't think it was that expensive back in the day when it, you know, it was back when things were affordable. It was a good purchase. So, you know, if you can find one of these and you're a fan of this stuff, it's well worth picking up. And then more recently, I think it was it last month? It would have been September 2025 if you're watching this in the far-flung future. They announced this. And this is a Blu-ray, and this was recorded at the Arena di Verona on the 26th of September 2010. So this predates the other one. So this is him kind of testing out the material. Apparently there were two shows, and this one, you know, played at the time. I don't know if they were both filmed. Maybe they were. I don't know. But this one concentrates solely on his solo material. You don't get any of the Scratch My Back covers. And that's, I don't know, I think it's a bit more streamlined. It's a bit more of a streamlined performance. And like I said, I watched it over the weekend because really this is all about a review of this. I just wanted to include the other stuff just because those videos are kind of buried in the channel. I thought it'd be nice just to look back at it all and do a retrospective of it. But I watched this with my daughter, and I said, "See what you think of this?" And I thought she was going to go, "Oh, it's not for me," but she actually watched it through to the end with me. This was directed by Peter Gabriel. It's a bit of a family affair because Hannah directs and Melanie sings with him. So it's a nice family affair. It's very much very similar to what you see at the Hammersmith show, but like I said, you've got those covers stripped out, and again you get to hear Gabriel's voice. It's it recontextualizes him as a singer, and I think that's good, because that voice. He's one of the few singers who's got to this age. I think, he would have been mid-60s when he did this, or 60 something. Yeah, well, whatever. I'm not going to do the mental maths. I'll leave you to correct me in the comments. That's what you're there for. But it's good to see him, doing his thing. So, is it worth getting? Well, if you like that, if you're a Peter Gabriel fan, no brainer. But if you don't like this sort of stuff, obviously not. I enjoyed watching it. I'll probably watch it again. In fact, I prefer this over to the other one because it does leave out all the covers, and I think I'm not particularly a big fan of what he did to those covers. The same as I'm not particularly a fan of the people who did the Scratch Yours album. I did a review of that. It's not part of this because it's not orchestral, is it? But yeah, covers are a peculiar thing, and you've either got to make them your own, and again, in a way, I suppose he is, but he's just doing really stripped down piano versions or orchestral versions, and you think, where's the fun in that? It doesn't feed me. It doesn't make me go, oh, that's it. That's an interesting choice you made. So yeah. It was a very strange period. It was a very strange period when Gabriel went orchestral, and this was before I.O. came out. It nestles between Up and I.O. right in the middle of it. It's almost like he was delaying. It was almost like he was stalling us for the I.O. album. I.O. 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 It's off to a weekend. And yeah, so it's a mixed bag of nuts. It's a thing I approach cautiously. If I'm feeling, like, oh, let's listen to some Gabriel in a different way. I do listen to it, but it's not, I prefer to watch the gig, and I did enjoy this gig, and I thought it was better than the other one. I enjoyed it more, and I think as time has gone on, I think I've kind of warmed to it somewhat. It's not perfect. I think some of the orchestration decisions, who am I to give opinion? But don't get your clackers out during digging in the dirt. Use the timpani, man. Use the timpani for the boom boom. This time you've gone too far. Boom boom. It's obvious. Instead of clack clack, you don't clack. You boom boom. Jesus, man. It's like what the. So yeah, that's the review. Hopefully you've enjoyed all this. You probably haven't. Probably haven't enjoyed it at all. You probably think, what's he babbling on about? Peter Gabriel with an orchestra? What's he talking about? But that's what this has all been about, and it's been a roundabout way of doing a review of this. Taking the pulse. The first time he took the orchestra out on the road, the New Blood Orchestra. And you might want, again, I'll always say pick these things up while you can, because they do go out of print. Blu-rays and physical media. I mean, it's in a bit of a strange world at the moment. I'm not saying this is going to sell out, but if you leave it 10 years, you might, if you're watching this 10 years in the future, you might have a hard time finding this. Though it'll probably be on streaming or whatever. I'm just saying, if you like the shiny discs, you might want to pick one up. There'll be an affiliate link in the doodad below. Magic penny from Amazon. If you buy anything, you have to say that. So yeah, that was it. Gabriel's orchestral period. I admire it. I don't like it, but it's nice to dip in occasionally. I think that's the best way I can describe it, because I always want more. I'm greedy. I always want more from Gabriel, and I want better. I want the toppest, bestest thing, the most shiny thing he can do. And so, and that's where this review comes from, because I'm a Peter Gabriel mega fan, you know, and that's why I say these things. So I don't want you saying, oh, you're not a true fan, all this, and because, oh, you've got to blindly like it. No, that's not how taste develops, you know. Taste means that you like certain things over other things. That's how it works. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've burbled on, and hopefully there'll be some nice, like I said, there would have been some nice pictures to distract you from my burbling, mumbly, horrible voice, my monotone, dull voice, just droning on and on and on and on and on. A bit like the orchestra back in Peter Gabriel. Burn! And that's the video. Thank you for watching. There's only one more thing left to say, and it is prog on. But is it prog? Mixing genres, I suppose it is. Classical and rock, but what do you think? Like I care. Leave your opinions in the comments box below, and if you're lucky, I might even reply. I might not. Might ignore you. But what do you think? Is it a success? Seriously, is it a success? What do you think of this? Because I always think, again, when bands do the orchestral thing, it's always them lacking something. You know, like they're always like kind of run out of ideas, and so that's why it's like Spinal Tap. You know, should we do Jazz Odyssey? You know, rock stars go, shall we get the orchestra in? What do you think? Ta-ta.